This is seminar number 10. And last week we talked about awareness of your behavior, awareness of those things that we don't even know that we're doing some of the time. And this week follows on from there. But whereas last week we talked about the things that everybody else can see as well, those obvious elements of who we are, how we interact with the world, the stuff we're going to be talking about today is on the inside. So it's all those thoughts and feelings and intuitive sensations that we have that very often, most of us, simply ignore. We write them off. We pay them no attention. Sometimes you'll find yourself having a thought from nowhere, and we've all done it. You say to yourself, "That's ridiculous. I'm not going to say that. I don't know where that's come from, but it has no place here." So we ignore it. And we're going to discuss what happens if we don't ignore those things, and how easy our life can be if we don't ignore those things. And again, we talked about it last week. There's a certain amount of experimentation involved, because maybe some of the thoughts are ridiculous. But until you actually pay them attention and follow through on them, you'll never know. So it's all about accepting and being aware of all of the thoughts and feelings that you're having all the time, and following through on some of them. If not all of them, but to begin with, just take one or two, just to experiment, just to see. And the more you do it, the more you'll be amazed at how well you function and what you're capable of doing. And it makes your life so much easier. So the first piece I'm going to read, and I'm going to read a piece now, and in itself it's a transition from last week to this week, because it's called Own How Good You Are. It's fine to look at the, let's say, negative parts of who we are in order to improve ourselves, but we must not lose sight of the good parts as well. In fact, it's part of the process to acknowledge how good we are, and to accept how good we are, and to then own how good we are. Because, and this is where the transition comes, if you can own those things that you know, those skills that you have, then it makes it easier to own and to see the skills that you don't even know that you have. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight, is that skill of interpreting your signals that your body, your mind is giving you, which most of us just ignore. And in that piece there's just a short instruction that we're going to hear again and again and again, which is take time for yourself. Take the time, make the time. It's really worth doing this list, taking an hour or two if you have the chance, and switch off your phone and say, right, I'm going to write down how awesome I am. And if you own how good you are, like it says in there, if you own that, take responsibility for that, then you're not going to be boastful. That's just the way it is. And I think some people stop short of doing this kind of exercise because they think it'll be arrogant or big-headed or boastful to do so. But it isn't. And we do it with other people, we do it with our close friends, we tell them how great they are. But yet when they tell us, we feel uncomfortable. And there's no need for it. And it is to do with upbringing, what we're used to, and you can turn it around. This is the title of the actual seminar. This is called Calibrate the Machine. And this is all about understanding more and more about how you function. So we don't fully know what we're capable of doing, and this is all about being open to stuff that we would normally ignore. We're talking about being so busy in life, moving from one thing to the other, always trying to progress or just deal with stuff. And we don't actually take the time to be quiet like we do at the beginning of these sessions and just forget everything. Because it's still going to be there when we walk back outside, still going to be there when we open our eyes. But to take that time for ourselves to reflect or just to come to rest. Because it's when we're at rest that we notice those fluctuations in our body, in our feelings, in our thoughts, in our emotions, in those sensations. And if we can, and this is where the calibration comes in, if we know how we are at rest, then we are likely to see the disturbances when they occur. But you can only do that if you know what your baseline is. If life is too busy for a time out, take what time you can be alone. Come to rest and listen. What do you hear? What do you notice about yourself at rest? Conscious rest. The less noise there is, the more clearly we can hear who we are. Remove the clutter, and what remains makes more sense. In addition, you notice interference more easily, which means you are likely to respond more accurately and more effectively. And that's what we do at the beginning, is just we come to rest, get rid of all the clutter as much as you possibly can, not just the stuff from the day, but the stuff that you've been carrying around with you for decades. Stuff that doesn't serve you. We hang on to it still, just like we hang on to stuff at home. If you come to clear out your house, say when you move, for example, even if you just take a decision to declutter and reduce your belongings, you'll find that it's difficult to throw things out. You'll find stuff and you'll say to yourself, oh, I'd forgotten I had that. Oh, I'll save that. Keep that. Well, hold on a minute, you'd forgotten you had it. So you can throw that. No, I like that. But why? We don't need to hang on to stuff. We really don't. That's how simple it is. That you just, by getting rid of stuff, whether it be possessions or people that don't serve you, don't contribute to you anymore, you make room for the good stuff to come in. And by having that discernment about your life, you can make a decision on whether that new person is going to come in or not. Because it's, when we go to university, the first few weeks at university, we invite everybody and we want to be friends with everybody. And then we spend the second year at university getting rid of the people we met on the first year because they're idiots or we were just being too friendly. And then the third year, you've got that small group of friends that are going to be your friends for life. But that discernment that you have only comes from actually making a decision on, does this serve me? Whether it be a person, whether it be a possession, or whether it be an aspect of your behaviour or who you are. Does it serve me? Yes or no? Yes, keep it. No, change it. And again, like we talked about last week, you don't have to even change it. You just become aware of it and you stop doing it. This is the point that I want to get across, I think, more than anything, is understanding how easily we dismiss ourselves, how easily we ignore, override, and just reject some of those subtle thoughts and feelings that we have. And what I'd like you to do from when you leave here tonight and between now and next week is to just practice following some of the things that occur to you. Even if it is just, oh, I'd like to pay him a compliment. No, I'm not going to do it. Follow it with awareness and see what happens. And you'll learn more about yourself. And there's so much of this stuff going on that we're never going to be short of material. We're never going to be short of opportunities to practice because it's happening all the time. And the more attention you pay to those things, the more subtleties you will notice, the more detail you'll notice. And again, if you follow these things and you understand or you improve your skills in determining when to follow and when to actually say, hold on, no, that is ridiculous. I'm not going to go down that road. The more your life will get easier and easier and easier, the more effective you become. And who wouldn't want that? Certainly that's appealing to me. If somebody says to me, okay, you can be even more effective in your life by just tuning into who you are. Great. Brilliant.